Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like the opening bit attempt last week, should say less words. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Szymborski.
What is up, Nady H?
If you have if you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. That one coming in from the Bit Lord. Thank you, whoever you are, wherever you are. We've now gone meta with our opening bit. I added the little last week part just to make sure everyone knew what we were talking about, but I think I agree. Wow. Last week's was too wordy. The show is too wordy. And this is going to be a wordy episode, Hambone. We got a big one. We got a packed show. As you can probably see from the title, we've been joined this week by Dan Szymborski. We're going to play the interview we had with him here in just a moment. And that's going to be the bulk of the show. And then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about that interview and touch on a few of the notes of league news over the last week and then in the episode. But before I get to that, before we play the interview, I did just have to say to you, Ben, a couple weeks ago, we talked about the monkeys loose in St. Louis.
Right. Yes.
The break. I was trying to keep our listeners understanding what's going on here in the ground in St. Louis, and yeah, and so they've never been found. There's not been a single. There's no trace of these monkeys, and no evidence that
was the whole thing AI.
Well, that's the new theory. People now are supposing that from the beginning they were AI monkeys. And I couldn't be more excited, Hambone.
God, we deserve this. This is the future that we deserve, and that we've earned, I guess.
When people, so it's really been eye-opening because when people have talked about like the legitimate concerns about energy consumption that's going into AI and what it takes to fuel these massive data centers, I don't know if that equation has also included having police efforts at finding fake monkeys lost in a city. So I think probably our energy projections are undercutting the outcome here.
Not to get too dark, but I feel like a Boy Who Cried Wolf thing it's right around the corner. The next time monkeys actually escape from the zoo, who says the cops are going to take it seriously?
We've seen this one before. We're not going around getting tricked by AI monkeys anymore. Meanwhile, they're like breaking into a pet food store.
Yeah, well, everybody will have their AR goggles on, so they won't even know what they're looking at if it's real or not. It's the end is here, Nathan. We are right at the precipice of the edge of everything. It's over.
Exciting times if you ask me. We got fake monkeys. We got people. Honestly, it could be worse. At least we're having a little fun with it. You know what I mean?
It absolutely could be worse. You cannot argue that. It could be far, far worse. No, I'm okay with being, if it is the end of everything or if it isn't, or if we do fry ourselves or burn up all of our water generating monkeys. It's all right. We've earned it. We deserve where we're at.
We've had a good run. It's time to. Well, on that note, I just felt it was important that now the goat, I don't know. I think it was a real goat that was loose, but that one might have been AI as well, but usually easy to capture than four stray monkeys. So I'll keep you up to date if there's any new monkey on the ground news alerts.
Yeah, and if you see any monkeys, rather than going to the cops, why don't you skeet at us on Blue Sky or send us an email? I'd love to see your monkey photos.
Yeah, please do. So with that, we're now going to play our interview with Dan Szymborski. Joining us today is senior writer for Fangraphs and the founder and creator of the Zips projection system, Dan Szymborski. Dan, thank you so much for being here with us again.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. I always got to ask up front, as Ben and I are fellow cat lovers. How the cats doing?
The cats are fine. I mean, it's been very cold, but my cats are indoor cats, so they don't know how cold it is outside. I don't think if I opened the door they would go out because it was -8 degrees
Wow.
this morning, and there was there. I'm in Ohio. There were we got about 14 inches of snow,
Oh, wow.
which I did not shovel myself, because you see the best snow removal tool is local children who don't necessarily know pricing. That's the best, better than a
Yeah.
snowblower.
I mean, I got to say, at long standing, this show has been a fan of exploiting children for their labor. So you're just
Yeah,
jumping.
I'm very pro child labor.
Yeah, you're just
Yeah,
fitting
they did not
right
know
in.
that I would have given them. I mean, they asked for 60. I actually gave them 100, but
Oh,
I
that's
probably would
nice.
have given them 200 if they asked, because I'm not shoveling 14 inches of snow
No.
out of
Dude.
my driveway. It's just not going to happen.
Man, I'm gonna
Yeah.
come over and shovel you. I'd
It's
work
a
for
lot
that.
of
Yeah.
It's a lot of snow though, Ham.
Yeah,
And
that is a lot of snow.
we got, here in St. Louis, we got like 9 or 10 inches. And I don't have a driveway city living, but just shoveling like my front sidewalk and a path around my car to get out.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. It's
killed
worse on the street,
Yeah.
because on the street you don't really have anywhere to put the snow.
No, and we get snow plowed in, so I'm shoveling places that like it's up to my waist, and I'm just shoveling like you're
Yeah,
like
the snowplow
carving
does it.
down.
Yeah, I've had
Oh.
that happen. Yeah, I have my driveway is like 3 cars wide, and I live by myself, so I have 1 car. So there's plenty of places to put snow. They
That's
shoveled
nice.
way too much of my driveway. I'm like, I don't need this. I'm not gonna have any visitors in this weather, but they did it. So
Now here
on
in
them.
St. Louis, we've been people on, so I haven't participated in this, but in social media, people have been measuring the depth of the snow with either beer bottles, classic St. Louis, or toasted raviolis stuck into the snow vertically
Wow.
stacked. Is there we're
Not
anything
like-
but consistent here in St.
not
Louis.
like wheels of Provel cheese or something.
I think less people. There's, you go into probably 9 out of 10 homes in St. Louis. There's a box of toasted ravioli, so it's just something available, a consistent unit of measurement. Was there
I
anything?
actually own a ruler. I have a
Oh,
plastic
brag.
ruler, which I don't
Yeah,
know why I
okay.
have that, because I last needed that like in elementary school, but I have a ruler, which was
Well,
there somehow.
Coming in big time, and us all we have is frozen, mislabeled food. But I'm glad you're doing okay. I have cats as well. One is an indoor, somewhat outdoor, but we opened the door for her, and she saw the snow that was stacked higher than her, and said, "I think I'm
Yeah,
good
no.
today," and just turned around and went back inside. And this was a stray cat that we adopted who loves being outside, and she recognizes the value of being inside during times like this.
Yeah, it's too cold. I actually have a
Yeah.
dripping faucet outside, so I've been like watching it to make sure it doesn't freeze over. It hasn't been, but is good. But I don't really need any magic pipe burst antics.
We actually had that happen. But fortunately, it broke on the other side of the water. Not it's the one that's going outside to like the sprinkler system, or not. We don't have a sprinkler system, but you know what I mean. The side of
Yeah.
the house hose. And it burst on the other side of that, so we just had to turn off the water there, and it's okay. But yeah, I've got a ton of water in my basement from exactly that. So hopefully,
so I'm watchful for that.
yeah.
But no, at -8 degrees, there was still water dripping out. So it was going through enough of the warm part of the house to not freeze over.
Great. Well, it's funny because Ben is in Colorado, Denver, a classic place for snow and winter.
Well, he's laughing. He's like, "Ha ha, peasants."
I would love to
14
participate in
inches,
this
roll
conversation.
eyes.
It's 44 degrees outside right now. It's supposed to be 60. We got no snow. It's a beautiful day. Sorry.
Wait, where are you in Colorado?
I'm in Denver.
Oh, well, how do you guys have such nice weather?
I don't know, but
Yeah, what are your forecasts? 51, 49, 51, 57. What the?
yeah.
It's
So
supposed to get to 20 at some point in the next week.
Yeah, we're looking for anything above 20 right now just to feel, okay. But
I do
the whole
not
world's
miss the
twist turned
Midwest
upside
weather.
down.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, yeah, I think we could talk about this shit for hours, but we should probably get to why we really brought you on the show, which is at long last, you posted the Cardinals Zips projection. So my first question for you, and this actually came from we have a Discord server, part of our Patreon, and people were wondering, do you hate the Cardinals? Why did we have to wait to be the last team posted with your projections this year?
Well, here's how I picked the order that the projections go in. I open up an Excel spreadsheet that has all the abbreviations for the teams. I type equal rand, left parenthesis, right parentheses, copy paste, then copy paste value, and then sort. And that's how
I think we're gonna
it.
need to see the tapes, Dan, because this sounds too convenient.
I have posted that. You could probably actually see it in the media files on my Blue Sky or Twitter, because people have asked that. And I'm from Baltimore, and I did the Orioles like third from last.
Yeah, I did notice that. But
also,
bird teams.
An alternative explanation is the projections are not that excitingly good, let's just say.
Fair.
So it might have been sparing people pain rather than causing people
I
pain.
thought that too, Dan. I also thought if you had done it 2 months ago, or at the start of all this, it would have been irrelevant, because half that team is gone now, and we're looking at a fully different Cardinals teams after this offseason. And that actually is my first real question. Before we really dive into the Zips projections, as a observer of baseball from the outside, we're mostly all Cardinals fans. A lot of the people that we have on the show are Cardinal fans. So having someone like yourself that is so involved across all of baseball, I'm just curious to get your take on the Cardinals rebuild efforts this offseason. Like, if you were a Cardinals fan, would you be happy? Do you think they could have been done different? Like, what's your overall perspective on it?
I think I'd be guarded about it, because they haven't gotten like a huge stable of that. They have a good farm system right now, but not really necessary from any trades that have been made now. And the team hasn't really been as explicit about what they're doing as they could. They're kind of just, it's a little like the Rangers in a way a few years ago, that they kind of like dipped their toes into retooling, rebuilding ish. And that could be a really tricky line to walk on, because you risk ending up in the situation in which you're not good enough either now or later. And that's kind of what Texas fell into. They did, of course, get to the World Series and had that season, but around it, there were a lot of pretty mediocre seasons.
Right. It fell apart pretty quickly.
And this is, the Cardinals haven't been abysmal on the level of when we talk like bad teams. I know that especially 2024 felt really, really awful, but this hasn't been a bad team. It's just been a very nondescript middling I guess it was 23 where they went 71 and 91, wasn't it? But I digress. It's been a very middling, just a meh team. In fact, that's what I did for my teaser for the Zips projections. For my excerpt, I just put meh, because they are meh right now.
So So would you have would you have cut deeper if you were in the front office, like getting rid of Burleson, getting rid of Newbar, getting rid of Donovan? I think Donovan is probably going to be traded before spring training starts still. Is it they haven't cut deep enough, or they haven't gotten the types of young players that you think are impactful?
I think when you look at the players they got probably a fair return because, for instance, Nolan Arenado, he is not the player he was a few years ago. You're simply not going to get as much in return for him. I really thought that if you were going to rebuild, then you do it after 2023. Even though it's a down year and you hope to have some kind of bounce back and you're in a weak division, if you want to commit, that's the best time to do it. Either re-push in a bunch of chips or you fold your hand.
Yeah.
And I think they did, for poker players, they did kind of like the weak call.
Yeah. Call all the way to the river. Just see what everyone's got. Yeah.
Just call in the river while others are betting, and then never really pushing anyone out of the pot.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the mistake was. I think that it was the decisions made after 2023 to not pick a lane. Instead, I think they just kind of hoped 2024 would be better with some mild righting of the ship.
Yeah.
If I don't know if you guys think that's fair or not. That's just the impression I got as I think about it now. And I don't think that was an effective plan. And I think we're kind of seeing the consequences of that, because even now, the Cardinals aren't a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but it's hard to see how they're going to be like a 90-win team. I mean, it's possible because 500 teams can win 90 games all the time, but there's just not a lot of short-term upside in
Right.
this team.
Well, we've kind of been critical, like especially of like Moselak's last 3 or 4 or 5 years, that he was essentially just betting on the 90th percentile outcome for like 8 players on the team. And if those things all went right, if Adam Wainwright regained his youth, if Nolan Arenado stopped aging, the team probably would have been good. There are scenarios in which it would have been good, but those just never all came together at the same time, and we've watched like extremely mediocre baseball for a while now.
Yeah, when you need to make when you talk about what has to happen to make the playoffs, if you have too many ifs in your thesis on that, then that's a problem. And I think that's kind of what we've seen the last several years in St. Louis. The number of ifs needed to make that argument have increased. I think that it's been clear probably from at least definitely from 2023, possibly before that, because there was always this feeling that the Cardinals had kind of fallen behind some of the other teams in terms of using analytics and some modern thinking about players. And that's a trap that the Pirates fell into about a decade ago, because I actually think that they did a decent job, but they were still kind of cruising on that era where Ray Searage had gotten all the pictures to throw hard, low stuff and induce ground balls, and that kind of worked until Loft became a real thing about hitters who are now very content to golf club those pitches out of the park. I think there's been need for change in a while, but the Cardinals as an organization don't usually do wild shifts in philosophy or personnel. Everyone has their I guess this is gonna be a weird analogy, especially if you don't know it. There's kind of this Tolkien Numenorian succession where they kind of the eternal king has the next king and abdicates the throne before they die, and that kind of broke down towards the end of Numenor where they weren't conceding the throne, and then of course Sauron gets involved. I don't know if we have the Sauron, maybe Rob Manfred in some way, but we'll see.
Perfect analogy.
I hope someone listening to that understood the analogy.
Well, what's funny is we've been talking a lot of Lord of the Rings on the podcast over the past month, so that's right in line with
I've been advocating for more of a Sith-based progression system where whenever someone is going to take the job of another one, they actually just kill them outright.
Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah. But yeah, this Eternal King thing just hasn't been working, and we've learned a lot over the last year as we have transitioned into a new leadership group with Chaim Bloom and whatnot. Just exactly what you're talking about here, learning that basically because of Yadier Molina, the Cardinals basically just did not worry about their catcher development program or anything like that for over a decade, which you do kind of understand. You've got Yadier Molina, but it's that sort of short-sightedness that led that and many, many other decisions, including not making a single move in between the 2024 and 2025 season, other than a ultimately good signing of Phil Maton, has led the Cardinals to where they are today. And Chaim Bloom, for Cardinal fans, it's been a particularly exciting offseason because they're actually at least doing something. They're making moves. We'll see how they work out. But one of my biggest surprises from from the Zips projections was, frankly, that they're projected to be about a 500 team. That's a lot higher than I think a lot of us are anticipating this season to be. I think we were, really looking at another 70 to 75 win season. So what were some of the bigger, if there were any surprises to you from this run of Cardinal projections?
Well, I think one of them is Joshua Baez. Zips really likes him and is a lot more optimistic about him than Jordan Walker. And if that experiment doesn't work out for, I guess, what is it, the 4th straight season, Zips would actually be very interested in seeing Baez fairly quickly. So he was definitely one that that they liked. And I was also impressed that, I mean, Zips doesn't really like any cardinal picture in the sense that X is going to be an ace, but Zips thinks a lot of starters, including guys in the high minors, will be okay-ish.
Yeah.
Which means that games will end. You're not going to go 60 and 102 probably, even if a lot of injuries hit the pitching. But I mean, Zips wasn't excited about any of them, but it was mildly interested in their existence, I guess is the best way to put it.
What a ringing endorsement. But I do know what you.
Hey, see what I've said about the Rockies over the years of the White Sox.
I know.
This is very gentle, Dan.
But I do know what you mean because, and we've talked about that on the show too, is that basically the Cardinals seemingly have amassed a horde of somewhere between number 3 to number 5 rotation pieces, a couple with maybe upside for more than that, but probably not. But it certainly seems like
rush.
It is a Zerg rush. With all like soft tossing, guys with spin. But they're other than maybe a Liam Doyle or a Quinn Matthews with like perfect outcomes. We don't have that front of line starter, but we're just going to mass them with mid rotation guys. And I guess you just hope that the offense comes around, and that's what a good team looks like for the Cardinals. But I don't know, not a particularly exciting strategy right now. I think we're all really hoping for Liam Doyle, and or when the Cardinals do decide to spend, they go and just buy the number one, the starter that will anchor the rotation.
Framber Valdez is technically still out there. They're not going to sign him, but
I know
he is technically still.
We've been trying to lobby. I mean, we have lobby. I'd say put out our podcast, but we've been saying, maybe now's the time to grab one of these guys. 3-4 year deal. I don't know. But certainly seems like the way the market's going is the Mets or something are going to go and give him a $3.95 a year or whatever.
Being the Cardinals optimist, bringing somebody in like a John Lester or Jason Worth type deal, and hoping to kickstart the retooling or whatever we're calling it. I would just so I have something to watch this season. I've been advocating for that, and if it doesn't work out, you could probably trade Framber Valdez to somebody next year or later this year, even for something that's valuable. But really does not seem like that's going to happen. No, Seems like we're going to bring in like Austin Hayes and be happy about it.
Yeah, I think Bloom is going to be fine in St. Louis, but he's just getting started, and he doesn't really have a lot of great short-term options. I really think the Cardinals will be fine when you talk mid and long term, but I think 2026 is just not going to be that not enthralling a season for that.
Yeah, I think we'll get into some of the more player specifics, but I was surprised by the floor of this team, but I was also disappointed in the current projection ceiling of this team, especially when you look at the 3-year projection. Like, oh man, I was really hoping for some higher outcomes than some of that. But I guess that's all this is projection. We don't know. There'll be some hits, there'll be some misses.
Yeah. Some of these pictures probably will break out. So that is an advantage of having a million of them, because you can pick and choose the ones that work out. But again, you don't know if it's going to be in 2026.
Yeah. Ben, you had a question about like that sort of thing, projections on like mid-level teams versus teams with upside. Did you want to dig in on that?
Yeah. So the question I wrote is like, I guess, is there a difference analytically between a boring 500 team and a quote unquote dangerous 500 team with upside? Like, how would you or Zips kind of like look at those two teams and explain them?
Well, Zips actually does try to take this into consideration when it simulates the seasons, because it doesn't simulate, because the one we do on the site in the Fangraphs depth charts is fairly simple. It uses the predicted playing time and the predicted projection and generates the standings based on that. Well, what Zips does is it has a probabilistic depth chart where the plate appearances can vary and positions are filled in, and it randomly selects different percentile performances for different players. So you will see teams that have more variance in their outcomes have wider bars. When you're a 500 team, you want a lot of uncertainties, and when you're a bad team, you want a lot of uncertainty. You want uncertainty when you're a good team, like the Dodgers. I talked about this last year, and I know that we're getting off Cardinals, but a lot of people thought like Dodgers, they're going to win 108 games. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm saying at the time, that's not actually what they're doing in this offseason. The Dodgers can't. There's only so much in a sport like baseball where you can increase your win total on average. You're basically no team is really ever going to enter the season like more than like 102 or 103 win projection because there's only so much you can leverage. You could get 10 all-star pitchers, but you can't pitch all 10 all-star pitchers as starters. But what you can do is you can increase the floor considerably. And if you look at Dodger moves, they've really done more to increase their floor than their ceiling. So you see how they do it with their pitching. They acquire a lot of high-quality pitchers with injury questions and hope that at any given time they'll be able to get 5 of them on the field for the rotation. That didn't work in 2024. They did win the playoffs, but it was a close thing. They really had to scramble to get a playoff rotation in 2024. In 2025, that strategy worked better because they did get their 5 desired starters all in the postseason. And so that's kind of what the Dodgers were doing. They've improved their floor, and you kind of see that in the projections. Where Zips only projected the Cardinals with like 96. I mean, the Dodgers to win 96 games last year, but it had them with a very high floor. The 20th percentile projection was like 90 wins, which is absurd.
That is.
Yeah.
So are you like when you're talking about these like high variance or like questionable players, is youth just inherently questionable or high variance, or is it more about the player's specific profile?
Some it's the player's specific profile. Some it's simply because younger players have a more uncertain upside. They tend to have, shorter resumes. Same for an older team. An older team is more uncertain, not necessarily in a good way. And also players that have injuries and
right.
Sometimes you don't know what's going on, especially if pitchers had Tommy John surgery. I think of someone like Alcantara in Miami. You don't actually know. I mean, you're not certain about his performance in the same way you are about someone who's been very durable and healthy. I mean, Sonny Gray doesn't really have you kind of expect the Sonny Gray season. You don't think he's going to be a Cy Young candidate necessarily or have an ERA of 6 in 150 innings or something.
Right.
Yeah, when someone like him has been basically doing the same thing for 10 years straight, your projection system is probably a little more narrow than even someone like McGreevy on our side, who has a much smaller sample size and is still very young.
Yeah, I always loved making jokes about Sonny Gray when he broke out because I said there was I made a picture of Dorian Gray joke that said that in Sonny Gray's house there's a portrait of Trevor Cahill getting older. Yeah, this is a really niche joke, but most of my jokes
I love it.
For there's always like 4 people in the world that get any joke I make. That's like the maximum.
Well, I think you're in a safe space here. There's a good chance at least me or Ben are gonna get whatever you're throwing out. You do remind me though, one of my favorite and least favorite things about the Zips projections, at least for the Cardinals right now, is when you go and look at the comparison. Like Zips will say like nearest comparison player.
Oh yeah, because one of the ways that Zips projects players is it compares them to a large cohort of similar players.
Yeah.
So, like Juan Pierre gets a bunch of other center fielder types with no power and speed around the same age. And sometimes the results can be kind of funny. I mean, because the top 3 names aren't super important in the projection. It's a large cohort. But it's fun to see the top 3. And I always do that. And sometimes people get mad. Sometimes people get amused. And that amuses me to see people get enraged because.
What are we doing any of this for?
Yeah, a big part. I mean, most journalists would admit it, but 40% of journalism is trolling.
The part that, like, at least for Cardinal fans right now, the disappointing and sort of speaks to the current level of the team is that when you go and look at this comparison chart, the vast majority of the players that are being compared to are just nobody I've ever heard of. There are certainly some that stick out, and there's some, we have a fun one in there. Ben's little pet project Jose Fermin gets a David Eckstein comp, which is like straight at the heart of Cardinal fans. But the vast majority of these are just somebody that you've never even heard of. So you go, great. I can't wait for this current version of the 26 Cardinals to ultimately be forgettable.
Michael McGreevy is Randy Dobnak. That is two household names right there that I am excited about.
Michael McGreevy is Randy Dobnak.
That sounds like a terrible independent film.
That's what I was thinking that too. Like a indie.
It's a TIFF
indie
selection
artist.
for sure. Yeah.
Ben, should we dig in on some of the individual players?
That's what I was leading us towards, Nate. Let's talk about Michael McGreevy, because Michael McGreevy is Kendall Graveman, which is also, I guess,
it's at least a recognizable name.
Well,
I
that
remember
age.
Kendall
I think this
Graveman.
was before Graveman went to the bullpen, so that was not the good Kendall Graveman.
But I mean, he could have worked out. Any player in McGreevy's position could work out. Some of them won't, because that if there was no chance of him not working out, then he'd have a better projection.
And I think what's startling for Cardinals fans is that he does have, and only by a sliver, he's beating Matthew Liberatore by 0.1 projected F4, but McGreevy is the highest rated starting pitcher on the Cardinals via Zips. I'm guessing, and I'd love to hear your take, I'm guessing this is because he doesn't walk people and he doesn't give up hard contact and he posts, but is there any reason we should be excited about Michael McGreevy going forward, or how do you view him?
Well, Zips does think that he's not going to be a big strikeout guy, but that his mediocre-ish contact rates kind of support a higher strikeout rate, because he was at like 5-something in 2025 in the majors. But it likely supports something in the 7 to 8 range, which isn't great, but it is an improvement. And generally speaking, a guy who can miss bats, who doesn't get hit super hard, who has good control, has a pretty decent floor usually. There's only so much that can actually go wrong in that case. And you know, he's a guy who does have I mean, he was a first-round pick. I think people forget about that. Obviously, he wasn't like a top 10 prospect or anything in the majors, but I think there's still a good chance he works out. And I think he has shown in the minors that he can at least be kind of that number 2 guy. I don't think he has real ace potential, but he is interesting. And of course, he's not going to be a free agent for 6 years, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, I think like in a vacuum, pretty pleased with the McGreevy projection. Second full year in the league. He is a guy who has generally done well at every level he's been at, especially given time. And so I think as Cardinal fans, we all do anticipate him being a part of the rotation both this year and probably for years to come. I think the alarming part to us was that he has the best projection. Especially when like, I don't know, I guess I would have thought maybe like even a Dobbins or a Fitz, some of these guys who have been acquired, or even a Dustin May. I know he's got the injury history, like deep injury history, but the ceiling certainly seems highest for him. But is it just that Zips is like really leaning into the injury and the uncertainty, and that McGreevy's just kind of the guy who's been around and done it for longer? Or should we not be that particularly excited about like a Fitz or a Dobbins?
I mean, they're interesting, and they are, and guys like Fitz are fairly high variance, and so they are kind of guys you do want to look at. What helps with McGreevy is he has a pretty weird track record for durability for a minor league pitcher. I mean, between the majors and the minors, he threw like 170 innings in 2025, 170 in 2024, mostly as in the minors. And I wouldn't be surprised if he led the minor leagues in innings pitched. I might be completely making that up. It's possible that Dan Szymborski is a liar.
That's the sequel to Michael McGreevy is Randy Dobnak is Dan Szymborski is a liar. I think we wouldn't, if we were sports bettors, bet all day, bet hard, bet for the rest of your life. I think we would be betting on him, McGreevy, leading the team in innings, maybe Liberatore considering his track record. But I was a little bummed to see even him below McGreevy, because I think a lot of us see, at least from a ceiling perspective, what Liberatore can do. I would love to. I think we're all kind of hoping he ends the season as a a future number 2 for the Cardinals. What do you see in Liberatore?
I mean, that's still the projection of a number 2 guy. It's not like a bad projection by any stretch of the imagination, but he probably was a little above where he was. One of the things that you should always be skeptical of is taking too much consideration about a pitcher's home runs allowed. It's meaningful, especially the exit velocities against are meaningful, but it's not quite as meaningful as it is for a hitter. And you will make a lot of mistakes if you react too negatively or too positively to a pitcher with a weird home run rate. And in the first few months of the season, Liberatore had a really low home runs allowed rate. And in July, August, he had a really, really high one. Obviously, there are reasons to think he pitched better in April, May than he did in July and August, but it can be exaggerated by those home runs allowed. I think one of the classic examples is Corbin Burns. Everyone freaked out that year. He was I don't think he was a rookie then, but he was a swingman for the Padres. I mean the Brewers, and he allowed like 20 home runs or 17 home runs in like 40 something innings. And everyone got mad at the projection the year after. It's like, he's going to be terrible. Look, he allowed 17 home runs. But you said no, because home runs are a bad stat. And anyone who says home runs aren't a bad stat, I will point out to them that xFIP is more predictive than FIP is for pitchers. And xFIP, for those who aren't familiar, is just FIP where a league average amount of home runs is projected. And that is a terrible idea. That is a terrible stat. But that it actually works to a degree is because home runs are such a weird stat for pitchers.
Yeah, I mean there's the stereotype here in St. Louis is the ball flies during the summer, right? That's what people always say. Here in July, like Busch Stadium plays as a pitcher's park on average, especially during April and May and September or whatnot. But we get the wind blowing it. There's like super hot and the ball starts flying here. And I think some people were pointing to that for Liberatore last year. But more to the point, like there's so many other factors outside of how well you threw the ball as to whether it's going to go over the fence or not. Especially as now Baltimore is bringing in their fences. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Baltimore has been very changey with their fences over the years. I know because a few years ago they obviously they moved left field out a little bit, which annoyed me as a player of MLB The Show, because when you had challenges to hit a home run as an Oriole, it became a lot harder to do it as a right-handed hitter, and that pissed me off because
Won't they think of the MLB The Show players?
Well,
come on.
Like one of them was to hit a home run with Luis Aparicio, and he had like a 60 home run rating or 60 power rating in MLB The Show, and the scenario they set up was in Camden Yards, even though it didn't exist while he played, but They don't have Memorial Stadium, and it was very frustrating. That was one of the challenges that took me forever to accomplish because I forget they put you against a pretty good pitcher, so you couldn't cheese it out.
Yeah.
And I just, every damn ball was getting caught on the warning track, and I was getting just so pissed off.
Well, hopefully, for everyone's sake, hopefully your 2026 MLB The Show will be a little bit, these challenges will be a little bit easier.
Really
maybe
brings
Gunnar
me,
Henderson will hit a few more dingers.
It really brings me back. I had a horrible time. It was a similar challenge, and I can't remember the specifics. I just remember that I was a right-handed hitter I had to hit a home run off of Jacob Mizorowski. I think it was at last year's or the year whenever he was. Yeah, he came up last year.
Yeah,
I think I gave up.
I
think I
just
quit.
All-Star program.
Yes, that sounds right. But yeah, he's throwing 102 mile an hour gas, and it just looks like a pebble coming at you. And I think I just gave up. I never completed it.
Yeah, some of
Classic.
them are harder for me because the truth is, I'm going to be 48 this year, and my reflexes are not the same as they were 20 years ago. I can play on All-Star, but that's as high as I can go in MLB The Show. So when they have like these extreme programs where it's like,
yeah,
hit for the cycle on Legend, I'm like, yeah, no,
pass.
I mean, if the challenge was get a hit on Legend,
Yeah.
I might succeed eventually.
It gives you a little empathy for these hitters. I feel like I'm in the trenches with them, you know.
No,
I'm there.
I know. Well, I'm an old man. I mean, you don't see 48-year-olds having hit balls anymore.
Juan
These
Franco,
games
right?
aren't made for us. Yeah.
Juan Franco did it. You can do it, Dan. I believe in you.
I mean, he did it like the age he was like 110. I mean,
Or was it Julio?
I love
Julio
all the
Franco?
the Julio Franco jokes.
Julio Franco, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we always had many jokes like nobody remembers Babe Ruth except for Julio Franco.
I want to ask you about Jordan Walker, which it seems, you know, he's doing the trad athletics, the drive line. He's rebuilding his swing. His hip is now fixed. Everything's working. It seems like he's guaranteed right field again for our St. Louis Cardinals. Clearly, Zips has given up on him. I'm curious if you've given up on him, what your expectations are. Are you done talking about Jordan Walker?
I'm not as down on him as Zips is, but the problem is he's hit pretty poorly for
like really,
a while now,
really bad,
including in the minors. Yeah, I mean, he was a bad hitter last year. I mean, we're talking
one of the worst
about,
in baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like, I mean, his defense is actually improved somewhat, not quite as abysmal as it was in his rookie season, but he's not a good defensive player by any stretch of the imagination. He's not making it up then, but by that, you do not want your outfielders to be as poor players as Martin Maldonado. It's kind of like the line where you kind of wonder if like it's a fantasy camp thing where he signed up and he gets to come to fantasy camp and play with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, there's still upside. He still looks like a guy who could just smack 40 home runs. And Zips gave him some high upside, like on the edges of the projection when you talk like 80th, 90th percentiles. Had a pretty impressive run for a while. But I don't know if he needs a change of scenery, a whole new approach at the plate, like a whole new just hitting coach approach. I don't know how to fix him. And you kind of can see where the upside is. So I can understand a team that isn't competing, giving him every opportunity. Like if the Cardinals look like a 92-win team right now, then it would probably be malpractice to go into the season with him in the outfield. But I don't think the Cardinals are that team. So it does make sense on some level to give it one last go to see if you can get something out of him. And it'd be a real shame. But, you know, at some point you have to, commit.
There's been a lot of articles this offseason locally about him taking his coaching seriously, about showing up and being the last one to leave, and all these like little mental things that implies that the perception is that he wasn't trying as hard as he should, whatever the hell that means. So I think we're in agreement. Like there are also like Josh Baez is probably the only other person who, if Lars Nootbaar sticks around on this team, Josh Baez, I could see just being so good in spring or in early AAA that he pushes Jordan out of the way. But outside of that, it seems like Jordan's going to have a really long runway this year.
Yeah, I try not to like take stuff like that into too much personal consideration because, people are very complicated. One reason that believe it or not, front office don't actually hate me is I keep things towards data and I don't get things personal. And like, it's like, is he really not trying or he wasn't trying? I mean,
it seems
really
hard to believe that somebody's not trying. I like almost never believe that.
I mean, players tend to be very driven. Even Anthony Rendon, who said a lot of things that he probably shouldn't have, you can understand his frustration because he was actually injured. It wasn't like He chose to be injured and not be able to get on the field.
He did choose to punch that fan, though. So
yeah,
we've got
that is the choice you can make. But I mean, a lot of times I think people are dragged for lack of effort when it's just lack of skill. I mean that was the reputation of Roberto Clemente early in his career. He was thought of as someone who didn't try, and that looks pretty stupid now to say that. I think, and I don't think Jordan Walker. I mean, because I guess on some level it gives you a hope that something can improve and turn on the switch. But I think the most likely thing is that he was trying and he just wasn't succeeding.
Baseball's very hard.
Yeah, baseball is really hard to hit a baseball, or everyone would do it. You can't just decide to hit home runs.
Right.
Yeah, and we also try to avoid the really frustrating narrative. I mean, we do a weekly Cardinal podcast, so we of course dip into it at some level, but we try to avoid these like grand personal statements about these guys, because generally speaking, like you said, if they're even in discussion at the MLB level, they are some of the most committed, like hardworking athletes on the planet. So it's like assuming they're just not trying. But every once in a while, we do get like a Colby Rasmus story in the St. Louis Cardinals sphere where they actually say, I never really cared or tried. But we've gotten nothing.
Yeah, I mean, some players are naturally more passionate about baseball than others.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of guys who play baseball because they're good at baseball and it makes money rather than any passion for baseball. I think of Adam Dunn as like that guy. He would have much preferred to have been hunting and fishing than playing baseball at any time. But no one was going to pay him $10 million a year to go hunting and fishing. He made like over $100 million in his career because he could hit a baseball. And as soon as Adam Dunn got to the point where he wasn't good at hitting a baseball anymore, he was just done with that. He probably could have gotten invites for a couple more years. And you contrast that with a guy like Ricky Henderson, who practically had to be dragged away from his baseball career.
Didn't he won an a minor league MVP award at like 44 years old or something like that? Like I know one of his last years in the minors was in his 40s and he won an MVP. So
he kept in the majors until people stopped inviting him, and then he played for Newark in the Atlantic League for 2 years.
Incredible.
He chose to spend 2 muggy summers in Newark. And then he played in the Golden Baseball League in San Diego for another year. He was like 46 or 47 at that point.
I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
In Newark.
Yeah.
And he still had like a 450 on base percentage.
Of course.
I think that
love
first
Ricky
year
Henderson.
in Newark, he was like a near a 500 on base percentage. And Ricky Henderson is the guy when people say that walks are on the pitcher and not the hitter. And you always call it Ricky Henderson as that, because that argument is bullshit because of Ricky Henderson and nothing else. Because there is no player in baseball history, I think, that pitchers are less incentivized to give a free pass than Ricky Henderson. Yet Ricky Henderson had 2,000 walks in the majors. And even when he couldn't hit and could only run, they still put him on base. I mean, when he was with the Padres, he walked like 81 times while slugging like 340 something and like hitting 220. Nobody was pitching around him. No one was just wild when Henderson was up. No one, and he was still stealing like 25 bases in his.
Well, I have his numbers from his age 45 season in 2004 with Newark. He had 37 stolen bases and a 462 on base percentage.
Yeah, I mean, you had to drag
unbelievable
Ricky Henderson away from baseball. There was another long-term player, Luke Easter, who played for the Indians back in the 40s. They finally sent him down to the minors for good when he was 38. And he played in the International League for another decade after he was 38. He played for Rochester, which was actually a Cardinals affiliate for a while during those years. And he was really, really good and he retired like when he was approaching 50 finally.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
this is a new guy to me. He put up 893 OPS at age 46 in 1962. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he spent, you don't see a lot of 40-year-olds spending their entire decade in AAA ball.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Love of the game.
All right, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to hit a couple of quick things before we play our game. Real quick, JJ Weatherholt, just to talk about something positive. Zips is obviously seems to be pretty high on JJ. What do you think we can expect? What are we looking at here?
I think the projection is pretty reasonable. I mean, there's still some uncertainty because he doesn't have a lot of professional experience, but he absolutely destroyed pitching in the minors in 2025. I mean, his WRC plus was like 150, I think, in the minors, which is pretty good for a guy who can do more than fake shortstop. Obviously, he's not needed at shortstop, particularly given what the Cardinals have win there. But I think he's one of the players you do really like a lot in St. Louis. I don't necessarily know if he's going to hit his ceiling this year, but when you talk about upside, Weatherholt is kind of the exceptions to that rule. There's nothing middling about him as a prospect.
Yeah, for our listeners who might not have the numbers in front of them, the 20th percentile outcome, which is a bad outcome, still has him at 1.8 F4, whereas his 80th percentile outcome is 4.2, putting him right behind Mason Wynn. I think we would be ecstatic with anything in between those two numbers, especially for a rookie.
I think there's a good chance that he's a better player than Nolan Arenado is right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Well, unfortunately, low bar to clear considering Arenado's 25.
Mean, but this was not a damning with fate praise situation.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think we're all glad to have moved on from Arenado to make space for Weatherholt. It makes sense from a team comp perspective for a lot of reasons. But sorry, Hambone, you were going to say something.
Oh, yeah. So I also just want to get, Dan, your kind of opinion on the Cardinals catching situation. Obviously, we got a couple of catchers who the national writers are really excited in Bernal and Raniel Rodriguez. But we have Pages, who's probably going to be our starting catcher. We just re-signed Pozo for another year, and Ivan Herrera is also there. Just curious to hear your thoughts from an outsider's point of view. Like, how would you handle and Jimmy Crooks. I forgot about Jimmy Crooks. How would you handle this kind of glut of MLB-ish ready catchers that the Cardinals have right now?
I think the approach you want to take is, I think long-term, you still want to see Herrera be a catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's still like the ultimate goal, and obviously not now. And really now, if you don't have mid-catcher now, there's a benefit to that because you get to see other guys at catcher. I do think that they should probably go into the season with Pages as the catcher, but give the other guys real chances to push him off the position and make him a backup. I think that's where Pages will likely be long term. The funny thing about Pages is every time I see his name. I don't know if you guys are necessarily the right age, but do you remember Picture Pages in the late 70s, 80s?
No.
Unfortunately hosted by Bill Cosby, but it had an animated thing.
Ben's probably familiar, I'm sure. Then Ben's a big Cosby head.
Wow, now.
Well, look up. Well, there's a song where it's like Picture Pages, time from the Picture Pages, come and get your crayons and your pencil. So when I see Pedro Pages, I just think, Pedro Pages, time for Pedro Pages. Go and get your glove and your bat. You can do with Pedro Pages and all the pages up. Yeah.
Well, you forever burned that into my mind. I promise you that. If that was your goal, that is now going to be what I think every single time I see his name. Do you do the same with Andy Pages over on the Dodgers, or is it Pedro?
I have it because it had the alliteration with it too.
Right,
Pages,
of course.
Yeah.
The Picture Pages.
Pedro, yeah, okay.
I see. I have lots of stupid songs.
Same.
I had this brain that never shuts up. So any time that there's all sorts of nonsense songs I sing, and if you came and broke into my house and creeped on me downstairs, you probably just hear me singing to myself just randomly. Like there's a kind of a an accidentally dirty song about Yimi Garcia that I sang. I don't know if I can sing it on the air.
Well, I mean, we certainly have no censorship here.
Okay. Notice this is not intended, but I just ran. I didn't realize I was singing this, and I realized one day I was singing "Yimmy, Yimmy, Yimmy." I got sparkles on my Jimmy, and I'm going to pitch for the Blue Jays. And I just realized this is when I was singing this idiotic song, because people sometimes, like, if I'm with people or someone's over, they'll hear me just singing to myself, and like, what are you talking about? Like,
he's lost his mind.
That is me in my house as well, though. It's almost exclusively singing songs to and about my cats. So taking, any song and including
every
them
cat I've ever owned has had a theme song.
Oh yeah,
they're written by different members of my family too.
Do you have a voice for each of your cats?
I do actually.
Like in the way that they talk.
Yeah, like I had this gray cat Galileo for a long time, and I always made him sound kind of like Bill Clinton. I'm gonna get some dinner. And I had this cat with kind of he's a big cat. He's really active, but he has this really high pitched meow like a baby. So my joke is he's always like the sidekick of a bad guy in a 50s movie, the one that has like the really high pitched voice, like,
yeah, come on,
get him, boss.
We're gonna get him.
So I do that in his voice.
See, we had
his fat brother I call Big Hoss, so I'll give him a Southern Sheriff voice.
Well, that's the same voice we did for our cat, Dr. Waddles, who was also a big boy who had a very sad little cry when he got sad. It was very high pitched. So I'm just always
like part New Orleans, part Foghorn Leghorn. I see, boy. Give me some dinner.
We've got Marceline. She's a little British girl. Oh, I just want a little bit of food. Come on, that sort of thing. So.
What does annoy people is I also have
none of this, of course. Yeah,
I have voices for my mom and for my girlfriend.
I bet they do.
Riskier play.
Yeah.
My girlfriend is from England, but she lived in England and overseas until she was like 12. And has pretty much lost all her accent. But anytime I'm quoting her, I will do it in like this awful Cockney accent. Like, oh, what are you doing, Dad? Like, I will quote her on that. And my mom is an old Jewish mom, so she doesn't actually have an old Jewish mom voice, but quote her using an old Dan, what are you doing, Dan? Why aren't you wearing your shoes when you go outside, Dan? And
she's like, I don't sound like that, Dan.
Yeah, like it's exactly what you sound like. He said, Dan, I don't sound like that, boobala. And she gets very mad about that.
It's incredible. Well, I'm glad to hear, because I've asked that same question to other people and they look at me like I'm insane. Like, no, I don't make up voices for my cats. I'm like, well, then you're not talking to your cats enough, because they certainly have a voice. You just haven't discovered it yet.
I accidentally taught my cat Constantine his dinner song. And if you sing the song anywhere in the house, he will run to the kitchen. The song is, who is the hungriest cat, the hungriest cat, the hungriest cat? Who is the hungriest cat in the whole wide world? And oh God. He just showed up.
Did he hear it? Did he? Yeah.
He
just activated
summoned him.
Constantine, no. Oh God. He's at the edge of my office door just staring at me.
All right. I think we've got one more baseball question for you. Then we're going to play a little game. Ben, do you want to throw out this last question?
Dan, if you had to bet on one Zips miss for the 2026 St. Louis Cardinals, where would you place your money?
I actually might place it on Jordan Walker simply because I like him still more than Zips does, because Zips is really down on him. And I think there's still a scenario where he is really good.
Yeah, you have to scroll pretty far. You have to scroll pretty far to get to his 20th percentile is -1.64, and his 80th percentile is 0.9. So even Zips is saying, like, best case outcome, he's still not an MLB level player.
But you look at most of the guys, you know what they are. You know, Victor Scott's not going to come and hit 20 home runs. And
Right.
Brendan Donovan is going to be Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
And, you know, Nolan Gorman is just going to be Nolan Gorman. And the same with the pitchers. But even if we're not optimistic on Jordan Walker, there's still uncertainty there.
Yeah.
So I will say I'll be wrong with him. And that way, if his projection works out, I don't look as stupid
There we
in
go.
6 months. Because let me tell you, everyone has a photographic memory of the projections that don't work out, and a nearly just sieve-like memory for the ones that do work out.
Of course.
People like to let me know.
I mean, it's a pretty volatile arena to put you like directly calling out what your system thinks is going to happen in a season is really just asking for people to come back at you, which I think you enjoy. Like you said, that's kind of part of the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, it does build credibility because everyone can look at the data over the years and test it and stuff. And I mean, I always try to emphasize when my opinion's different, but the projections aren't my opinion, so they're going to be different. People think that like that's disrespect towards X. I'm like, I'm not smart enough to write a computer program that respects or disrespects people based on some kind of morality or ethical consideration. I'm a math guy. I can barely program a computer. Like, you know, all these people that use R. I don't use R because I was born too early. Like the code I don't know Python. I know Visual Basic, which nobody has used in forever, I don't think. It's like, I'm not a coder. I'm sorry. I'm an archaic. I'm a math guy.
I think we're all marching in the direction of having to defend the opinions of robots, though. I mean, it's a hot topic right now. But I think we all, as Cardinal fans, would, when I think of like which one I want to miss the most, I think Jordan Walker is also my answer, because there's still that, like you've been saying, there's that dream of the upside. Like, there's no one else on the Cardinals that you just like look at. Maybe Josh Baez will be different, but
he
as
might
far as
not get enough playing time in the majors to because it's kind of cheating if you say he had a great minor league performance.
Right.
So just so you know, I sent you a link to the theme song for Picture Pages.
I think we got an episode title here too, Hambone. So I'm gonna play that. But all right, so we're going to wrap up this episode, Dan. We're gonna play a little game. I think from your writing and from talking to you, you're a fan of play on words. And we have a little we have a little game that we play on this show sometimes called Talking About Words, pun edition, or as a listener in our in the Bird Squad, our Discord server, said, it's really more like before and after, which I guess is a game from Wheel of Fortune, I think. So anyway, here's how this game is going to work.
Wait, before
I'm going to make
Wheel of Fortune? Where do they have games on?
Well,
am I behind on my Wheel of Fortune knowledge?
It's like
it's like a
Wheel
category.
A category.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like, I didn't know they changed it because I haven't seen Wheel of Fortune in a while. It's like they usually just give you a phrase or something, and then they turn.
Yeah, this is a category that they will use for phrases. So the way this works is this is essentially a pun that I've created using a Major League Baseball player's name. I'm going to give you a statement, and you have to guess what pun I came up with. So I'm going to give you a couple examples so you know what I'm talking about, and then we'll go from there. Example number 1, I lost my page. Okay. This injured free agent pitcher may be seen hanging out in Quahog with his friends Cleveland and Quagmire. So the answer is Peter Griffin Canning.
Okay.
Another example.
Oh, God.
This slugging catcher / first baseman is a fixture in Cajun cuisine. Red beans and Ben rice. Okay. So I will say, here's how this is going to work. I'm going to say the sentence, and then whichever of you, like, say your name or buzz in or whatever, whoever gets it first gets the point. If you can't come up with it, I will give an answer after a time. I've got a handful of them here, and we'll see who does best. All right, number 1. This classic Game Boy game is looking for a healthy year in Seattle's rotation.
Oh God. No, I'm not buzzing in. I'm just talking to myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Say it again.
Kirby's Dream World. George Kirby's Dream
Oh,
World.
damn it.
There you go, Dan.
I was
Dan,
thinking Brian Wu. I was like, what is the Okay.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of Woo too. I'm like, is there a game called Woo?
Yeah.
Woo something?
Yeah.
Like, there's no Woo.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right, so I'm gonna give it to you, Dan. The game I had was George Kirby's Dreamland.
Yeah,
I think Dream World is also one of the games.
You got
so,
there.
yep. All right.
Hopefully he doesn't eat as many things as him, because then you'll become, Rich Garces' Dream World.
All right. This pitcher who signed a large deal this offseason is going to sue you if you don't stop.
Cease and desist. Dylan, cease and desist.
Oh, my
There
God.
you go, Dan. Dylan cease and desist.
I actually made a joke about this a while ago. I mean, this is vaguely political, and I don't actually make political things. But there was a note some years ago when Elizabeth Warren had made the motto of persist. And I said that after Dylan Cease retires, he can have a crime show with Elizabeth Warren called Cease and Persist.
Long walk, but I think we love it. All right.
I made a dumb joke about every player in the major, so there's a rich
Yeah.
tapestry.
All right, here we go. This outfield prospect may be useful if needing to stop the flow of water in a small creek or river.
Who is Damn?
Outfield prospect.
Dylan Beavers?
Dylan
Oh.
Beavers Dam. Yep.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Dylan Beavers Dam. Okay.
All right.
I didn't know we had that part, but yeah, I that was the only one I could think. I was thinking, who's the Dam? I was trying to think, is there
Yep.
I was thinking, is there a player named Jose Van Dam or something?
I don't even know if I know who Dylan Beavers is. There was no way I was getting that.
He's with the Orioles, so that was kind
I
of.
thought Dan might know that one.
It was kind of
All right.
tilted towards me.
All right, I got a few more for you. Dan's
That way,
running
if I
away
was
with
doing-
it though, Ham.
that way, if I
I'm
was
just
doing
gonna
really
sit back and
poorly-
watch.
See if I've been doing really poorly, that the Beavers was in there to try to get the guest to save a little face.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, maybe I definitely thought of you on that one, Dan, but I also was just reading hundreds of baseball names looking for puns, and you see Beavers, and you're like, well, I gotta use that one. All right. This future Pirates star was my favorite character in Friends.
Bubba Chandler Bing?
Yeah, spins on the board. Bubba Chandler Bing. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was never really into Friends, so I was in
all
trouble
right.
there.
Well, then that one was thrown to Ben. All right. This future Hall of Fame masher is also one of the greatest sequels of all time.
The greatest sequels of all time.
Okay, well, Stand and Deliver isn't the
Hall of Fame masher.
Future Hall of Fame masher.
I'm trying to think of a sequel with the Judge in it. I don't think there was. I guess the sequel Judge Dredd, but that doesn't really count because that was kind of a reboot.
Nope,
So you
that's not it.
I can't say Aaron Judge Dredd.
That would have been good though, but no, that's not it.
Okay.
The best sequel of all time is Terminator 2. Obviously, it's just a standard answer. What is the play there?
Then it would have been Terminator 2 Aaron Judgment Day.
Dan
Oh,
gets it.
there we go.
Terminator 2,
Okay.
Aaron Judgment.
Wow.
Okay, it was okay.
We both
Well,
get
you
a
kinda
point on
led
that.
with that. Yeah,
we both get a point.
You know what? I'll give you both a point on that one. Ben got the Terminator 2, but couldn't seal the deal, and Dan came in and put it all
I
together.
was trying to think of Judge something, but I was trying to think of was that
Yeah.
Judge Dredd movie a few years ago a sequel or a reboot?
Yeah, that would have been. I would have called that a reboot.
I watched that recently. That movie holds up. It's really fun.
Oh,
I like the old Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
I always like Rob Sandler with the machines that said "Eat recycled food,
Yeah.
good for the environment and okay for you."
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the reboot as well. They've been trying to get another one of those made, but it just didn't have the popular. It's entered like cult classic status though. But we'll see.
See, I like movies that no one really liked.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the people that liked Hudson Hawk. I
God,
am
I've never
amused. I was
seen it.
amused.
I never
Hudson Hawk
saw
is
it.
extremely amusing. It's campy, but it knows it's campy.
Which
You should
so
watch
I'm a big
Hudson
fan.
Hawk.
I'm a big fan of bad movies or movies that that oeuvre of things that are so bad they're good.
Well, then you should watch Hudson Hawk.
I
So, I mean,
yeah.
it has Bruce Willis and Danny Aiello singing jazz standards while they rob things.
Perfect.
And it has Sandra Bernhard and what's his face, who was in I forget his name, in one of the recent Star Wars as an old bad guy admiral. It has them being over the top. It has some absolutely ridiculous. It has David Caruso randomly.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, this sounds great.
It has Frank Stallone and his brother as criminals called the Mario Brothers. It was a bad movie, but I think it knew it was bad, and that's why it was fun. So watch Hudson Hawk at least once.
All right.
You have to, because it's so infamous for being a flop.
Well, I love that, so I'll throw it on the list. I've got
Okay, well, I guess you could say what's second baseman likes bad movies, and one's called J.P. Ricciardi, a smooth pimp.
Daniel Hudson Hawk.
Orlando Hudson. Well,
Orlando
Hudson.
Hudson, not Daniel. Orlando Hudson Hawk.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, it doesn't quite count because we were just talking about Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
Daniel Hudson
all right.
Hawk, we could probably think of one though too.
Yeah, not. All right, Dan, you're winning 4-2. There are 3 left, so Ben, you're not out yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like when the World Series went best of 9 briefly.
Yeah. Bring that back, by the way. All right. This classic font is looking like the next great Red Sox slugger.
Classic font.
Times New Roman Anthony.
Oh, God.
Anthony.
I couldn't think of Roman Anthony's name. Damn it.
Yeah, at first I was thinking, did the Red Sox have a prospect named Helvetica?
Ariel.
Comic Sans Rodriguez.
Who's Tahoma Jones? Is that a player?
Jeffrey Wingdings. All right.
The official font of Zips, which is everything is stored in, is Tahoma 8. That's just the official font of Zips.
Good to know. When I publish my plagiarized Zips projections, I'll make sure to use your font.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. 2 more. This early Leonardo DiCaprio film is a consistent Cy Young contender.
Early.
This is
What's eating Logan Gilbert?
Yeah. What's eating
Logan Gilbert? Great. Or wait, yeah.
Yes,
I got there. Okay.
Yeah.
God,
I'm gonna give it to you. What's eating Logan Gilbert grape?
Okay,
Yeah.
that sucks, Nate. That was a bad one. You can do better.
There's one I cut that is even worse.
I'm trying to think if there's any other options.
Kirby. Well, here I've got.
I mean, if it was football, they could say Romeo Doubs and Juliet, but this is baseball.
Yeah, I was trying to think of early DiCaprio movies.
Yeah.
Or Romeo plus Juliet, I guess technically it was called.
Romeo, thank you.
Okay. Last one.
All right, come on now.
Lost my page. Okay. You'll look great driving around in this classic, often injured Twins star.
Oh, I was gonna say Austin Martin, but that's
Something Mercedes, I'm guessing. No, he's down now. He's not a major league player anymore.
I mean, there wasn't really a Buxton mobile.
The Buck truck.
Rolls Royce Lewis.
Oh,
Rolls Royce Lewis. He got it.
Damn it.
I think you could make a case that Austin Martin works because
it does actually.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
He was, and truth be told, Aston Martins are less dependable than even Mercedes.
There you go. Yeah.
They're very just not dependable cars. I don't know.
Well,
what
I'll give
the
you 2
British-
points just to really layer
Oh,
it
come
on,
on now.
Hambone.
That's
Oh,
ridiculous.
no, it wasn't the right one because there wasn't a pun. It was just his name
True.
matched. No
So
extra point.
Dan, you're gonna win on this one. Congratulations, 7-3. You ran away with it. Quick
Wait,
side,
oh yeah, that's right. We had
because you each got
extra.
you each got a point
I was
for
like,
the.
how'd I get 7? How'd we get 7-3 at a best of 9? It seems
Yeah.
like
Well,
was there a? But there was a tie, just like in the All-Star game.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I'll
Aaron
take my
Judge-
1 point there. I
Aaron
will
Judgment
absolutely
Day.
take that.
I'm gonna end on something.
Wait, Nate.
What?
It should be 6-2 to 1. Since it was a tie,
That's right.
You get the point.
Great, I'll take the point. 6-2 to 1. Either way, you've sealed the deal, Dan. Congratulations. You've won talking about words. Appreciate it. I thought this would be funny, and I do think it's kind of funny. Dan, I don't know how much you interact with some of our AI friends, but I thought it would be funny to see if I could get ChatGPT to answer these correctly and see what it came up with. So I asked all my questions to ChatGPT, and it actually got 2 of them right. It got Times New Roman Anthony correct, and what's eating Logan Gilbert grape? It got that right. But a couple of them that were very funny that it got very, very wrong. For my George Kirby Dreamland game, it came up with Dr. Mario Gilbert. Pretty funny.
Classic.
And for my last run, the Rolls Royce, it came up with Buick Buxton. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah, AI still has trouble trying to write jokes.
yeah.
Although if it knows the subject and you don't need it to be like wordplay, sometimes you can it can do pretty well. I once asked it to write mean Dan Szymborski roast jokes, and it actually did a pretty good job. Some of them were legitimately mean, and I was really I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
That means that your internet presence is bulky enough to be mean to people.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
I actually pulled it up, and some
Yeah.
of these are super mean, and some of these work. I'm trying to find the ones that work. Zips doesn't predict the future. It just predicts how fast Dan's credibility ages in dog years. Or Dan's hairline has worse retention than his readership. If sarcasm burned calories, Dan would finally have a shape other than oval.
Oh my God.
He writes like a guy who still doesn't realize nobody's listening, which, to be fair, also describes his dating life.
Jesus.
Dan is the only man who can make baseball sound boring to people who already like baseball. Dan has the kind of presence that makes people nostalgic for dial-up. Zips is just Moneyball if Billy Bean were drunk, bitter, and armed only with Microsoft Excel 97.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Honestly. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good for a computer, and I like these. Dan looks like the guy at Comic-Con stuff. This mistake for lost child. He tried to return to his parents. I don't know what that one means.
Well, so last time I did this game, I tried to ask it to help me create some of these, and it couldn't at all. And the one that made me laugh the most, and I can't remember what its setup was, but its punchline, the pun it wanted to be the answer, was a play on Mario Kart, and it just said Julio Rodriguez Kart.
Oh, one last one. Dan has the body of a guy who thinks meal prep means reheating Totino's pizza rolls in batches.
So specific.
Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing when you like write publicly for a long time. ChatGPT and then know a lot about you.
Yeah.
It's funny because you know the Elon Musk AI encyclopedia or Grokpedia.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lengthy Dan Szymborski page
Oh, good.
generated purely by AI.
Close on or close off?
It gets a lot of things right, but it
Okay.
gets some things really, really wrong. It tells me that I'm renowned for developing the ZIPS, which stands for, according to Grokpedia, the Zebulon Igor projection system.
Oh,
So I've been joking
that's
that
a
that's
punch
an
up.
approved-
That's good. Yeah.
That's an approved alias now, is Zebulon Igor.
I saw
also-
that in your Blue Sky profile, and I
that's-
wasn't quite sure where that
Yeah,
came
that's
from.
what it stems from. And it got some things right. Like it says, Szymborski graduated from high school in 1996, correct? and demonstrated early independence by self-financing much of its college education through physically demanding construction work, including digging ditches. I have never done construction work or dug a ditch. I have lived a sheltered existence in that way.
These hands are clean.
I do not have the back for that, and my back hurts thinking about that. And I'm like, it's making the Szymborski origin story be way more inspiring than it actually is.
You're man of the people, salt of the earth.
The way you read that,
boy.
I thought you were saying like you were physically demanding jobs, like you were going up to people and grabbing them.
You will make you. I will help. I will carry girders for you.
Yeah.
I will dig a ditch. I mean, do people even dig ditches anymore? I thought they just have like those earth mover things.
That's some New Deal shit.
What do we even
that's
need
pretty
ditches
incredible.
for? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it knows what zips is, and it knows that I've joked about that. I had a 70-mile-per-hour fastball at best as a teenager. I mean, it knows some things well, and then some things hilariously poorly.
Well, I mean, in this way, you are immortal also. So, 100 years when, Zips is still running, they'll be like, our forefather, he who dug ditches in 96. All right. Well, incredible, Dan. Thank you for joining us this week. We've been talking about your work this entire thing, but if anybody, is there anything you want to plug, any direction you want to point people who might be listening?
You should visit at Fangraphs, because that's where you can find me, and even maybe consider a subscription to Fangraphs.
Absolutely.
Because we are supported by our membership so that we can employ, because we have 14 full-time employees that our members support with their kind subscriptions, which remove ads and add dark mode and add things like being able to download data sets, and it might cost less than a cup of coffee a day. I don't know, but that's what commercials always compared to.
It
It costs less than a cup of coffee a day.
It definitely does. You get your Fangraphs graphs wrapped at the end of the year, which always makes me feel embarrassed about how much time I've spent on the site. But I'm a subscriber. You should subscribe too.
Yeah. I mean, Fangraphs is sort of the root source for this podcast. We use some other sites at times, but it is, I think Ben and I both have Fangraphs up for every episode, and is what we go to when we're talking about metrics and underlying stats and whatnot. So, and it is incredibly kind of you to give us your time, Dan. We really appreciate it. It's always a blast. We'll, in a year from now, although maybe the Cardinals will show up higher on that Excel sheet.
Well, they have to. They can't show up any later.
Yeah, that's good. At worst case, it'll be right around this time next year, but we'll reach out again. So thank you so much.
I could actually roll that right now. I won't tell you where they go, but I can roll next year at any time. So I'm typing equal rand.
Is it? Oh wow! Is he doing it right now?
I'm doing it right now. Okay, cut, paste. And they are not the last team.
All right, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Right.
Wow, breaking news here on talking
I'll
birds.
actually reveal.
Okay.
And they're still on the back end. They're the
Okay.
25th team.
Oh man. Okay. Fine.
The Braves are going to be the last team.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, better is good. We'll take it. We'll take
Heard
it.
it here
So that'll
first,
be
folks.
yeah, sometime late December, early January, probably. So, all right. Well, thanks for breaking that news live. Well, it's a podcast, it's not live, but on our show with us. We appreciate it. And thanks again, Dan.
Thanks for having me,
Dan.
guys.
All right. And thanks again to Dan for his time. We're going to talk a little bit about our takes from that interview with Dan. But before we do that, we do want to remind our listeners that the show is listener supported on Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. If you want to support the show, just like newest patron, Guy Incognito, now that's a pretty unique name. Hopefully he's okay with being doxxed.
It's 100% a real person. We know that.
So Guy, whoever you are, thank you for joining the Patreon. We truly appreciate it. Subscribers at any level get access to our private Discord server. That is the Birds Court. You hear us talk about it on the show all the time. It is a private chat group where we are talking about the Cardinals and a lot of other things. So if you're interested in hanging out with us and other Cardinal fans, consider joining the Patreon. That's patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. It's a great way to show your support for the show. Otherwise, you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. That does helps boost the show and show up in search results and things like that. Simple way to help the show. And of course, podcasts still primarily spread through word of mouth. Cardinal season is ramping up. That other dumb sport's almost done. Baseball's going to be in the focus, and it's a great time to hop on board. So tell your friends, tell your family. We super appreciate it. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
Yeah, we're on all the socials. You can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can watch this episode on YouTube. Go look at our faces over there and the gray block that is Dan Szymborski. You can find all of the podcast information. You can buy t-shirts, everything like that at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us your goat and monkey pics or whatever you got to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And you can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-3... Oh, 848-482-4737. Okay.
Okay, I flubbed the intro or the number, and
I didn't even say anything. And I didn't even say
hear
anything.
the end of it. I
didn't even say anything. God.
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Okay.
All right, Hambone. Yeah, everyone just listened to an hour and 15 minutes or so of us talking with Dan. So we don't need to recap everything. But I just want to say, like, man, having him on the show, it's always such a treat. Besides his clear expertise, I mean, one of the best in the business. He also, I think, just he does what we want to do on this show, and I think in as baseball fans in general, which is just have fun with it, you know.
Yeah.
And as he said several times on the show, he is, throws himself into the middle of a lot of like debates and trolling and whatnot, and he does it all with a big smile and joy behind all of it. And I just really appreciate that about him, and it comes through immediately in his talks with us.
Yeah. I mean, his depth of knowledge nationally, and obviously when we're asking him questions about the Cardinals, is wild. There's never a trip up, and I legitimately learned things about like just like his theory and his the way that he looks at xFIP and the way that home runs are valued and the way that we should be evaluating pitchers. That's something I've never thought about or didn't know. Yeah. And I mean, his depth of knowledge of baseball history, which is something I wouldn't say I love it. I wouldn't say I have anywhere near close to his depth of knowledge. So just being able to hear that and learn more, and he's also the right type of nerd, the type of nerd that I want to be associated with. It's great.
He goes deep on that level, and a man who's not afraid to sing on a podcast, which we've done on this show, and we can appreciate. So hopefully everyone listening enjoyed that. And I was a little worried about the game because you just never know with a random person. But he obviously, I thought he would do well at it, knowing him and reading his writing, and you got smoked. So that was fun too.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty confident I was going to get smoked. I feel like I'm not good at that game when I have no competitor. Yeah. And then when you're sitting here and you can't think of Roman Anthony's name,
Well, that's part of the fun of these. And as listeners, I'm sure you were out there, had some of them, couldn't come up with any of them. So it's a lot easier on this side of the game than the side that you guys are on. But he was pretty good at it. So, all right. We did want to touch before going. We did want to touch on a few bits of the league news before we end this episode. So, Hambone, what do you want to get at first?
We got to talk about some league news, Nate. We got to. I think the biggest thing that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet on the pod is the Brewers' trade of Freddie Peralta to the Mets. Obviously, all-star starter Freddie Peralta and swingman Tobias Myers went to the Mets for prospects Jet Williams and Brandon Sprout. All big names here, all names that you are probably familiar with at home listening to this. The Mets are having an all-time off season, if you ask me. I think they've augmented their position players by adding like, was it 4 or 5 all-stars at this point? They add a guy who slots in at the top of the rotation, and they give up. I mean, Sprout alone is extremely exciting. And then depending on what you think of Jet Williams, he could be another very, very exciting middle infielder.
Yeah.
Depending on what you think about his batted ball profile and all that. But
we love a short king. I think he is 5'8", and projects quite well, which you love to see. Yeah, I mean, honestly, my first take on this was, damn it, the Brewers have done it again. You know? I think this is a good trade for both sides. I think the Mets are obviously in win right now mode.
Right.
And Peralta is an obvious improvement. They needed something like this. They probably are going to do more, but being able to plug him in, and they get a little bit of longevity in this deal with Tobias Myers, who has looked good at different points. But at the end of the day, they have an ace going into the season, something they've been sorely missing. So I think it's a good deal. You got to give up talent to get talent. I imagine other teams were in on Freddie Peralta. From the Brewers side, Sprout alone, just the way the Brewers operate, this guy's going to be driving the Cardinals crazy for the next 5 years. He's probably, they're going to work their pitching lab magic on him, and he's going to come out and be a great starter. And now they have him for the bulk of his minor league or his rookie contract. And that alone, it might have been enough. I mean, I don't know. Freddie Peralta was very good, so they obviously were asking for a ton, and the Mets were willing to pay it. But I thought, like, just getting this years of control on this kind of guy is probably worth it for 1 year of a good pitcher who has had injury concerns in the past and things like that.
You can really see how next year the Brewers having some combination of Sprout, Mizorowski, and Priester manning their rotation, all young guys, all with tons of control. Jet Williams probably breaking in somewhere on the infield for the Brewers. They are set up for success right now.
That's the Jet Williams thing. We'll see. He has some high prospect pedigree. But there is a reality that just generally people of his size don't fare very well at the major league level.
But what have the Brewers been good at doing is taking guys who are undersized and helping them overperform, and they've done that time and time again.
Oh, I know. So I'm not even saying that like we should be worried about that, because he in a vacuum he's been very good at basically every level, and now he's with an organization that's done well at that. They also have a ton of guys, like their whole infield is sort of stacked right now. So I don't even know where he plays. But that'll sort itself out at some point. It always does. So yeah, that's why, I mean, like I said, my first thought was, damn it, the Brewers did it again. And you could argue maybe that 2026 in a vacuum, the Brewers are a worse team. I mean, actually that you kind of have to argue that they don't have Freddie Peralta anymore. But as far as overall value, I suspect that Brewers fans will be happy with this trade in the long run.
Well, yeah, they're also going to get likely a full season of Woodruff,
a
full season of Mizorowski. Like, there's, I don't think they would be better with Freddie Peralta, but it's hard to imagine them taking a step back.
Yeah, and they have to do. This is the mid market. This is frankly the stuff that we hope to see the Cardinals do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, good move for them. Frustrating, but it is what it is. Good for them.
Yeah. Moving on, the Giants brought in former Cardinals legend Harrison Bader. He signed the deal for 2 years, $20.5 million. Seems like he'll likely start in center field for your Giants, maybe start in right field. Depending on what your thoughts of Jung-Hoo Lee's outfield defensive abilities are, which he graded out extremely poor last year. But I think that this makes sense. They get a guy, one of the toughest outfields to play in the bigs. He's as good as they come. Obviously, he's a little older. We all are. But he's a great outfielder, and he had a career year last year. I hope he can keep the slugging going, and I think this deal will work out really well for the Giants and Bader.
Going to be harder to maintain that slug in with the Giants though he's fast. Maybe he can get a few more balls in the gap.
He might lead the league in triples this year. It's a great ballpark for that kind of thing to happen.
Yeah. So there was from a Cardinal lens, there was like a little moment there, especially after the winter warm up.
Yeah.
Where it looked like the Cardinals were expressing interest in Bader, and for I think a lot of reasons that we all understand. I kind of figured he was going to get more than 1 year, and that would put him out of the running for the Cardinals, and that's what happened here. It wouldn't have made sense for the Cardinals to do 2 years for Bader. It makes more sense for the Giants. It's a reasonable deal for both sides. I mean, baseball money is so insane now. Like Bader, 20 million, like generational money, for like, and it's like nothing at all,
but easy deal that every team could have signed that.
Yeah. He's gonna get a lot of tater tots with that one.
That was good.
Thanks.
I like that.
You like that? All right.
And
I'll do it again later.
Okay, we got to talk about the Hall of Fame another Cardinals legend.
Yep.
Carlos Beltran is elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He gets a little over 84% of the vote. Andruw Jones finally gets in with a little over 78% of the vote. And Chase Utley is on the outside looking in. He only managed to garner 59% of the vote.
He's gonna get in now.
I mean, I think he should be in already.
Working backwards up, getting that many votes. It's never made a lot of sense to me why this happens, but it's just how it works. These guys, they slowly accrue votes year after year, and then they get in eventually.
Did you see Bill Belichick not getting elected into the Football Hall of Fame?
I did. I mean, I saw actually a joke about him not getting in. So I've cleared all of my everything football, so I don't see much football content. But I saw somebody making a baseball related joke about Bill Belichick. So I don't understand it. I guess is it just because everyone hates the Patriots or something?
It's because of the Spygate.
Spygate, sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But it's to me, this is the baseball MLB equivalent of Barry Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame or any of these slam dunk guys that have a asterisk on their name. But
yeah,
I don't really care about the Football Hall of Fame. I just thought that was funny, and we're not the only sport to have drama over this. But let's take it back to Carlos Beltran and Andruw Jones. I'm a pretty big fan of both of these guys, even with the kind of cluttered mess that is Carlos Beltran's post-playing career, the Astros drama, him, quitting the Mets job, the kind of all that weirdness that happened around the banging scheme. But when you look at it, and he played during our kind of baseball formative years, and I think there's no doubt he's a Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it. So smooth, so good for so long. And again, he had a couple of amazing years with your St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, he's a St. Louis icon in two different directions.
Right.
He is the guy standing at the plate with his bat on his shoulder when Adam Wainwright threw the most wicked curveball in the universe to strike him out to win a World Series. So we love that. He was kind of a laughingstock of Cardinal Nation for a long time. The GIF there's that and Pujols' home run off of Brad Lidge are two baseball gifs that are just in the Cardinals zeitgeist and will be forever, right?
Yeah.
So so he's got that, and then of course he was the Pujols replacement essentially after Pujols left, and we talked about favorite seasons last week, and neither of us chose the 2013 season. But if we had, Beltran is the guy of that season to me. I mean, Matt Carpenter, a big part of it too, but, Beltran and, everything he did to, that World Series was frankly an embarrassment except for him, everything he did was great. Then he blew out his ribs or shoulder or something, robbing Ortiz of a grand slam.
And that short fence in right field. Yeah. That was such a hard hit. I remember that one well.
So yeah, on the field, I was so excited when the Cardinals signed him, and it was great. And he was awesome. I don't want to go into this too much because I think frankly the argument is tired. But I am a little less put him in the Hall after the cheating thing. I have some mixed opinions on that. I'm not super solid in either direction. But I do think that whole team basically faced zero repercussions other than being booed.
That's Rob Manfred's fault, though. That's not the player's fault, in my opinion.
Well, but they're the ones who cheated. So you know what I mean?
I get that, but I still think that Rob Manfred did a stupid deal. There was already the reporting. We knew that this happened, and Rob Manfred gave them full clemency to tell them more, even though we knew most of what had already happened. So I think he handled it poorly. I also think that other teams were doing the fact that that was totally swept under the rug. I think it tarnishes the whole thing. And I look at it similar to how MLB treated the steroid thing. They swept it under the rug until they couldn't, and then it exploded, and they handled it poorly. I get what you're saying, but what are they supposed to lash themselves? It should be the governing body.
I agree, and the writers are not the governing body of baseball. So how is it on them to be the ultimate adjudicator on somebody's legacy? Like I totally understand all of that argument. I just, like, for me, at least with the steroid thing, there'd always been a very clear line. A-Rod, Manny, Arnon, they did all the things after it was clearly illegal, or not illegal, but against the rules of the game, and so they're out, and that's the voters have shown that way. Whereas everybody else in the 90s and whatnot, it technically wasn't outlawed in the game. Now everything you said about sweeping under the rug, et cetera, is all considered, but there's at least a clear line. Did it before here? Did it after here? Cheating for an entire season, blatantly, seems like a clear line to me. But if you don't think that should cost an individual player their Hall of Fame status, I do understand that. I'm still kind of torn on it.
Yeah, I think that the history of baseball cheating, you would eject a large chunk of Hall of Famers out if you want to start walking that line.
Yes and no, because most of them that have done it didn't do it so fucking blatantly for an entire season.
Well, what is the line of it being blatant, though? This one
was pretty blatant, but I get it. So the other thing that I would say, the Andrew Jones of it all, I agree with you, should be in. The thing that stood out to me is if Andrew Jones is in, boy, howdy did Jim Edmonds get screwed.
I agree with you, but I think first we need to appreciate how unbelievably good Andrew Jones was. Arguably the best defensive center fielder in the history of baseball. Had a 50 home run season. Was arguably one of the best players in baseball for 10 years. I've never seen anyone play center field like he has. And the power, the speed, everything about it. The fact that he's finally in, I think, is great. So I want to focus on that for 1 second. His 2005 season is absolutely unbelievable and unforgettable. So very happy Andrew Jones is in. A Curaçaoan player. He kind of led the charge for like Andrelton Simmons and the little like wave of Curaçaoan players that came in around that time in the early 2000s and 2010s. So love him. He's great.
Yeah.
Could not agree with you more. Jim Edmonds should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he will get in the Hall of Fame. It'll be through one of these stupid back channels, and we're going to have to wait another 10, 15, 20 years or whatever. But the fact that he got left off and the no real conversation was ever able to happen is dumb. Jim Edmonds is just as good as Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones, and they should all be in.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a victim of the stacked Hall of Fame voting card that persisted for 10 years because and is still going to some degree, but because Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and all these guys that should have just been first ballot, one and done, there's an extra space, they're getting half the votes because the writers group has been so split on the whole thing, and they just get lost. Jim Edmonds just gets lost in the conversation, and it's done. So disappointing. We've talked about that enough. I think this is a unifying agreement across Cardinal fans. And how many other Hall of Famers are like weird guest stars on Real Housewives of whatever, that whole thing.
There will be a day where Scott Rowland, Albert Pujols, and Yadier Molina are all in the Hall of Fame, and that will be a lot of fun.
They're ghosts looking down on us like Jedi ghosts.
God, I hope they're alive for it. Jesus Christ, Nate.
When we finally bring down the Empire.
God. Yeah. I hope
The
they're
next time the
alive.
Cardinals win a World Series.
Oh God. All right. That's all I got for league news.
All right. And that's going to do it for this episode. We already did the game with Dan. And thanks again to Dan for being a part of this. That's now 3 years in a row he's spent his valuable time with us, which is still crazy to me. But we really appreciate
devaluing his time, right? I guess
I know.
his time is less valuable now.
He could be digging ditches or, whatever. Probably more productive use of time. So we will be back next week with our standard format. Once again, remind everybody, talkingaboutbirds.com has all the links to everything, including our Patreon and all of our other socials and whatnot. And we'll be back next week, as always. And until next week, just going to say it, go Cardinals.
Let's go Birds.